that's the underlying issue. Keith Stewart from Greenpeace. That's why we're here. We want to stop the expansion of the tar sands. Let's hear about it.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight, and a thank you to our First Nations friends and allies for allowing us to be here on their land to undertake this activity, but also for the solidarity that they have shown and the amazing frontline work that they have done right across this country to try and turn the tide on the tar sands. I'm going to talk for just a minute about a fellow by the name of Stephen Harper. What you probably don't know is he actually rewrites his speeches to make them less interesting. He doesn't really want people to pay that much attention to politics. He wants them to think of themselves as taxpayers whose job, all they want is to have government to have less money. But he does most of his major policy announcements outside of the country. So it's interesting that the very first speech that he gave as Prime Minister in 2006 was to a business outside of the country, was to a business audience in Europe. And he announced that Canada, the Canada that they knew was changing, Canada was now an emerging energy superpower. We were going to become a superpower based in the tar sands. In that speech, he actually waxes quite eloquent, quite poetic. He talks about how digging up the bitumen from under the muskeg of his home province of Alberta is an immense task. Digging that up, transporting it, squeezing out the oil is a Brobdingnagian task comparable to the building of the pyramids or the Great Wall of China, only bigger. That was his vision of Canada. That is his vision of our future economy. We are going to be the people who are going to supply dirty oil to the world. But he knows that this isn't just an economic strategy, it's also a political one. He has to change all of our environmental laws in order to be able to get these pipelines through, in order to get those tar sands mines approved. So he has. He needs to remove public participation from these processes. Because once people participate and start saying no, he has a problem. So what do we say? He can rewrite those laws, and he has, because he's still Prime Minister for now. He can't rewrite the Constitution. He cannot remove the constitutional obligation to respect treaty rights, though he's trying. And he cannot silence people. He tries desperately. He's tried to shut us out of processes. He's called us radicals. How many people here are radical? If you want to say the words climate change out loud, you're a radical. Say it. As of 2012, the single largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in this country, it was no longer the transportation system, and it's not all of our power plants that are pumping out that electricity from coal. It is just taking the stuff out of the tar sands and getting it to the gate of a refinery. That is the single largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Canada. It's the fastest rising source of greenhouse gas emissions. And it is the reason we had to get out of Kyoto, the reason we have no chance of achieving the Harper government's own miserable greenhouse gas targets, because the tar sands are going up and up and up. The government has handed out permits to more than double the size of the tar sands, to increase it to almost threefold, and they want to increase it eightfold. The only way that they can do that is if they can build a huge number of massive tar sands pipelines to get that to market, because we don't need that oil in Canada. They don't even need it in the United States. So stopping pipelines is the choke point. That is why we fight so hard over that. That is how we're going to stop the fastest rising source of greenhouse gas emissions. And that is how we're going to say no to Stephen Harper's agenda to change the economy, the ecology, and the politics of this country. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Keith.